In June, world leaders will gather in Kananaskis. It will be the second time that area has hosted the G7 summit. In his novel, 1 Minute More, author Robert Rothenberg tells the story of another G7 summit held in Canada with a major twist. This time, an assassin is on the way to the 1988 summit in Toronto. Joining us from Toronto is Robert Rothenberg. Thank you very much for joining us today.
No, it's wonderful to be here.
So why did you think a G7 summit in Toronto would have all the elements of a good thriller?
Well, it's actually a long story. I'll keep it real short. It was many, many years ago before I started writing. We were on the Quebec-Vermont border. There was a July 4th parade. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if an assassin was coming across to kill the world leaders? Because I knew that they'd all met in Toronto at Hart House in 1988. Mulroney, Thatcher, Reagan, Mitterrand. So I had this idea, and in fact, I wrote the book. I spent 10 years writing my first novel. It never got published. But after writing 7 books about R.E. Green, contemporary books, I thought, wait a second, why don't I pull this whole novel out and make it a prequel? So now my readers will find out all about the young R.E. Green back in 1988.
And looking back to 1988, in many ways, it seemed like a more innocent time. It was before 9/11. It was before Donald Trump. How did you enjoy writing it based in 1988?
You know, that's a great question. It was so much fun. Nobody had cell phone. There was the police officers had to carry quarters with them to use a phone. It's such a innocent time, and as a writer, it was great because I couldn't have everybody texting and emailing. You have to really kind of have people figure things out. It was fascinating going back and looking at the history of 1988. You see all these articles about how, if free trade comes in, Canada's identity is going to be destroyed, which is so fascinating right now when you see how we have got this wonderful surge of pride in our country. And, it occurred to me the other day, we want to buy Canadian. So me and other crime writers are going to encourage Canadians to buy Canadian books. But it occurred to me the other day that I've never seen another thriller set in Canada. You know, the thrillers we see, like I just saw Day of the Jackal, which is a lot like my book on TV. They're set in Europe, they're set in all these exotic locations, but Canada is an exotic location. So it was really, really a lot of fun to write this book.
Mm-hmm. Looking at that summit, Brian Mulroney was the host of it. Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher were there. How much research did you do into the details of the summit?
I did a lot of research. And one of the great questions was Francois Mitterrand, the French prime minister. The question was he going to bring his wife or his mistress or both?
And how did it turn out then? What happened?
Well, you're going to have to read the book.
There you go.
But the climax of the summit was on the patio at Hart House in 1988 on that beautiful July day. And there's a very famous photo of all of the leaders that I've put in the book. So it's that seminal moment when that happened. So I imagined the assassin on her way to kill them, and R.E. Green in hot pursuit.
Mm-hmm. This is your 8th novel with R.E. Green as the major protagonist in it, but you're also a criminal lawyer. Where do you find time to write?
Well, I'm also a teacher, and I'm a playwright, and you know what? You just make the time if it's something that's important to you. I like to say being a writer makes me a better lawyer, and having all these access to people's lives makes me a better writer. I just do it.
Well, that's the
thing. I don't think it's such a big deal. We're all busy. I'm sure you have a lot of great things you do in your life, you know?
Yeah, but there's the thing. You must come across so many real-life stories that are very dramatic and would make good reading in a book. Does the day job ever cross into your writing job?
You know, W. Somerset Maugham, one of my favorite writers, was a doctor for 5 years, and he said he learned everything about human condition by being a physician. So I never take my clients' actual stories. My books are fiction, but I see people in crisis, and I see how they deal with things. I see cops, I see judges, I see lawyers, I see detectives. So I've got a really inside view of human personalities. And I think what makes a great novel isn't just the plot or the story, but the characters. To me, it's the characters and their development and how they deal with their crises that are really the essence of great drama, I think.
You've based all your books in Toronto. How can I convince you to base a book in Calgary?
Well, I'm going to be in Calgary this summer, and he's going to be going around the world doing all sorts of exciting things from 1988 to 2009. So I think we should get him out maybe to the Stampede.
Yeah.
You know, that might be very interesting if there was a very high crime thing that was going to happen there, or Banff or Jasper. Yeah, I spent a summer at the Jasper Art School trying to be a writer, and I have great affection for Alberta.
Now, I take it, in terms of retirement, either in criminal law or in writing, that is just not going to happen with you.
Well, why would it? I'm having too much fun, and as a lawyer, I help a lot of people, and as a writer, Ian, it's this very strange thing. For 20 years, I woke up at 5 in the morning and would write for 2 hours and make my kids their breakfast and lunch, and I never knew I would be published. And now I get emails from people all over the world saying, they couldn't sleep because they're reading my book, or they want to know what's going to happen to Ari or the different characters. And I feel very, very blessed. Mm-hmm. I really do. So why would I ever stop?
Well, congratulations on your latest novel, and thanks very much for joining us today.
Hey, it's been wonderful to talk to you. Thank you so much.
And Robert Rothenberg's new novel is 1 Minute More.